calling all educators with a passion for teaching and a health for faith. Get ready for a transformative journey with the Educators with Oil podcast, where host Ronette Branham is dedicated to helping teachers become better through biblical strategies.
Hi, welcome to Educators with Oil podcast. I'm your hostess, Ronette Branham, here to offer biblical strategies for effective teaching. I am so excited to inspire teachers. Brings me absolute joy being here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. So if we have anything that will empower you, inspire, or lead you, I'm here for it. If you have any suggestions or any comments, please comment and let us know your thoughts on what the topic is. I really appreciate that. Today, as we're going to discuss with Mr. John Taylor, our guest, we're going to discuss the different types of teachers. I know we're going to narrow down to 3 types. I know sometimes we fit in one type more than the other. Sometimes we fit in all 3. Sometimes it depends on the time, the season that we're talking about. So let's just dive into it and see if we fit into any of these 3 categories, which I am excited to talk about. And we have right now our special guest, Mr. John Taylor.
Hey, how are you? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm so glad.
Good. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. You know, when I always say it, and I said it today earlier, that when I talk to people from Next Level Speakers Academy, there's like a connection. I don't know if that's divine. I don't know what that is, but it's something that we just click. And so speaking to you, I'm like, okay, I want you on. And I'm glad that you accepted. That's exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you become a teacher, or what were your teaching roles over the years?
Sure. Becoming a teacher was something I didn't think that I would really do. It was something that kind of came along because a teacher and a principal took me under their wing when I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants in high school and not really had any direction that I was going to go. And I was able to, because of my athletic ability, able to get a scholarship to a higher university where I played football. And during that time, my grades were not that good in high school. I had a teacher and a principal take me under their wing and said, look, this is what you're going to do. This is not up for discussion. And here's the way it's going to be done. And, I fought kicking and screaming, but they refused to let me do it my way. And in turn, I was able to become eligible. I was able to accept that scholarship, and I was able to move on to college and still didn't think I wanted to be a teacher. I just wanted to help people. But when I was in grad school, I had a teacher who told me that I was going to work Special Olympics. And I said, I'm graduating. I'm done. She's like, you have one more thing to do. I said, I'm not doing that. And she says, well, if you don't do it, I'll fail you. And she hung up the phone. Well, you didn't have text and everything back there. I'm like, okay. So I went to see her and, walked in, and she told me I was going to be a hugger. And I was like, I was a football player, and, you didn't show your emotions back then. I'm like, I'm not going to be a hugger. She goes, you are going to be a hugger. So I stood there, and they did a 50-yard dash, and this girl came across, and she hugged me, and I hugged her, and I started crying. And I looked at my professor, and, she looked at me, she goes, you're welcome. And that was the moment I said, I don't know what I'm going to teach, where I'm going to teach, or how I'm going to teach, but I'm going to teach. And that's what brought me 31 years later to where I am now.
I like that story. I never heard a story like that, where, the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go. When he's old, he's not going to depart. And you are the epitome of that. Somebody trained you the way you should go. And look at you. You're still here. And you said 31 years later. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely something for sure.
Yeah, because you hear stories of parents saying you're going to be a doctor, and that's what but it's not something that just comes along where you're not even doing that great in school, and all of a sudden you're a teacher. Like, who does that? Teachers know they're going to be teachers. We are. I like that story. I want to tell that story now.
Yeah, it definitely was a life-changing moment. You find out your why, And I did. I just didn't figure out how I was going to achieve that, but I knew what it was, and that was the end of that. And I went full go, and had to do a few other things to get my teaching degree and extend my education, but that was fine.
Yeah, we do. I had to go back to school because I was what we call here alternative route. I don't know what they call it across the country, but here that's what we call it, where I majored in business. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be a teacher, but I went to school in the country. I didn't have a car, so that wasn't an option. And so then I changed to business, and then I ended up trying to teach business, but business teachers don't leave. They stay in those positions. So then I was offered a preschool position, and I did that. So I had to go back to school and get that certified for that. But yeah, I like your story. I like that.
Thank you.
I had bumps and bruises, but somebody helped you.
They did. And in turn in doing that, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help. You want to help, you want to impact, you want to just try and make a difference every day. And I think that's, really a part of being a teacher.
Yeah, that's cool. And so what kind of teacher are you, or were you?
Well, this is my finishing up my 31st year, and I taught special education. I had severe behavior and learning disabilities for probably, I've been teaching so long, I kind of forget now. I think it was right about 12 years where I was doing that. And, the time just came to where I wanted to make a change, and still stay in education, wanted to make a change. And then I did elementary phys ed and tutoring. So I did that for roughly about 10 years, right in there. And then I was able to get into the high school situation, and our high school situation is a little unique, where we have, different languages, different types of kids coming in. So you got a nice mix of kids, and I love being at the high school level, doing that. So at the high school level, I teach health and phys ed, and then I'm certified in ESL.
Oh yeah, you jack of all trades. I like that, because you've been a teacher, but you changed careers 2 times, even within teaching. And that's pretty cool, because sometimes you like I teach second grade. I taught second grade for a while, but I taught preschool for over 10 years, and then I did computer teacher, and then I did second grade general ed, and then it was not special, second grade DLI, where it's dual language, where it's Spanish speaking, but it feels like career changes, even though you're still doing the same thing. And that's what I do love about teaching, because you want to teach. So with that, you gave us a nice topic about what kind of teacher are you. You said, are you a academic teacher? I think you said teacher student. I wrote that, and then June, July, August. So how do you explain these types of teachers? I don't know. I think I know where I'm.
Yeah, and I think in just being able to go into different classrooms, and a teacher as myself, starting out and now towards the end of my career, I think I've come down to 3 different types. There's the teacher student. There's the student teacher, and there's June, July, and August, which is the teacher. What do I mean by that?
So wait, so I didn't even get it right. So it's the teacher, student, teacher.
Yeah.
And then, the teacher, student, that's me, that one that's all about the books, like the learning.
Right. So you got this teacher, student, and then you got the teacher. And I guess what I'll say is you got the teacher, student, you got the teacher subject, and you got the teacher. And I can break those 3 down. We
didn't know what you're talking about here, because
the teacher. Yeah. And so, what do you think they are?
What I got was the academic. Like, I'm like, we're gonna learn something today. You're not leaving here without learning something. Like, and then you got students who are coming there so needy, and you need to make sure they're okay before you can even teach. That's that other teacher, and I could be that sometime, but I'm not that. I'm that one. You're here to learn. Your parents think you're learning something today. We're gonna learn something today, and then And then you have that one ready for vacation teacher, like, oh, let's count down. It's almost Friday, it's Friday, all that stuff. So that's what I take from it.
And I think you pretty much have hit it. What I meant was, you have your teacher and your student, mm-hmm. and then you've got your teacher and your subject. And if one can't come before the other, at least in my opinion, I think you have to develop that relationship with that student mm-hmm. in order for the subject matter to matter to them. The kids, there's that saying, people don't know how much you care until they see how much you care.
Yeah.
And, I think that's what it comes down to as a teacher. You have to develop that relationship with the student. And, there's teachers that do that, but then there's teachers that do that, but don't bring in the other aspects. And then it's just like, they just try to be their friend all the time. And I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to be your mentor and help and guide you. So I think that's what the student teacher is, or the teacher student aspect of it. Because once you gain their trust, you'll get what you want out of them. And then I think there's other teachers that are teacher subject that's all they care about. That's it. It is the subject matter, but nothing else matters. Does that make sense? And
I'm 90%.
Every teacher's done this. Every teacher's done this. I've done it. Every teacher has done that, where this matters, the relationship doesn't. But you're not going to get someone to do something unless they know you care about them. And once they do that, you'll get what you want out of them. And then you've got, I call it the teacher. And that's June, July, and August. And there's two ways I look at that, and two ways that I've seen it over the years that I've taught is, and again, this is not knocking education or anything, but there's teachers that just are there for the check. They're there for the check, and they're there for June, July. They're there for June, July, and August.
Yeah.
They are. There's teachers that are just there for June, July, and August, and they don't even really want to be there. And that's sad to see. I've seen it, but also as a teacher, I think you are part of all three of those, because I'll be the first one to say, come June, my teacher hat comes off.
Yeah.
Like, I get away, I recharge, whatever. My teacher hat's gone. So am I a teacher? Yeah. Once June comes around, you're dang right. I don't check my email. I don't check anything until about that week before we go back to school.
Yeah.
So, I think and I think everybody's fallen into each one of those roles, and depending on where you're at in your teaching career, you can reflect and kind of see where you might be at.
Yeah, you're right. Cause like I talk to teachers and they're like, it's Friday, I'm happy. And I'm like, well, to me, it doesn't matter, because every day's a day. Every day you have something to do. So that's how I am. But if I'm planning something, I'm excited for that. Or,
absolutely.
Like you say, for the vacation, not even vacation, June 25th or whatever our day is.
Right.
I don't miss a kid. I don't miss one child. I never missed a child. Like, ever have I missed a child? I have thought about, but have I saw the kid and like, oh, I missed you? No, I don't. I don't even miss a kid when I see them in the hallway and they moved on. I talk to them, hey, third graders. Like, no, I don't attach myself like that. Like, I don't have favorite students. I don't have, yep. I do have had some who rubbed me the wrong way sometimes, but I have never had some I really like, but nah, I'm that teacher subject. I'm attached to that subject. How do I make this better?
And I think, and there's nothing wrong with that, because you want the most for those students. Mm-hmm. And in that, when you're that kind of teacher, say you're a teacher subject where that's it. It will be done with the kids that are passionate about that, but you got to try and bring along the other kids that want to kind of get the interest, or at least sometimes maybe they just want to get your attention, so they're actually going to do the things that they want, that you are asking of them, and maybe even surprise themselves. And as a teacher, I think that's the biggest goal, is you got to push kids past what they think they can do and not let them use the excuses or the situations that they're in to stop them from doing that.
Yeah. So for that, because I'm passionate about the subject and I want every student to learn something every day, I will figure out how to get those students to learn. Like this student, I always tell people about one child I had who I was failing them. They said this little girl told me I was the worst teacher and she couldn't read, but I had to figure out how to get her to read. She loves me now. I know she loves me because she's not really that kind of kid, but she really liked me after that. She was friendly to me. She will come to my class and that kind of stuff. But I had to meet her where she was. And then I became, so that would be like somebody trying to build a relationship. I tried to build a relationship. I was trying to teach her. I was trying to help her learn. And because then I met her need, then she felt like I cared about her learning.
Exactly.
That's how I do it. And I'm not trying to. I don't care if you like me or not, like that.
Right.
But you gonna learn. I'm gonna figure out how to do it, and then we're gonna be in this thing together. So that sounds like relationship building, but my mind is that's not what I'm doing. So.
And it is. I mean, I think it is because that student saw something in you. At first, they didn't like it, right? But now you've got this kid coming back to see you. You did something for them other than the academics. You lit a fire in them by the approach that you took. And, everybody has different approaches. Like the advisor that I had, I thought the lady hated me for 4 years, and she didn't. So, you did that. You built the relationship with the kid knowingly or unknowingly, but you understood that. And that's the, the passion. And I see it on your face. I see it on your face that, that's what drives you.
Yeah. Because for me, it's like I never had a problem reading. Like I've been reading since we read since kindergarten. I remember before kindergarten. I remember around kindergarten, my mother had those World Book encyclopedias, and then it had a children's section of those books. You had to remember.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
So I read every one of those books. Every one. I started with those little kids ones, and then I'm talking about I remember being in the 5th and 6th grade. Then my mother had some more that she got Funkin' Wagner, where she got from the grocery store, and I read. I'm talking about cover to cover. I read those, so I can't understand. You can't read. I'm going to figure out how to help you read, because if you can read, you can do anything. So. That drives me, because this is weird. They can't read. We got to figure this out. So if that's building relationships, then so be it. But that's not my goal. My goal is to make sure you can read so you can live.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're doing that's a teacher. And everybody has their different approaches, and everybody has their different way of doing things. And it doesn't mean that one is right and the other one's wrong, but I think you cover I think as a teacher, you fall into all of those roles, whether you really realize it or not. And when I reflect back, sometimes there was I'm going to be friends with the kids. We'll get through it. Then there was other times where it's like, no, you're going to pass this. This is the way we're going to do things. And if you don't like it, I really don't care, but you're going to get it done.
Yeah.
So, I don't think anybody falls into one specific role. I think you might be more of one than the other, but you're a combination of all of them.
Yeah. Cause that teacher that care about me a whole lot. And I'm I'm ready for a break. This teacher wants a break.
Right. Yeah. And you have to have that. Like you have to.
So how do you approach more teaching, more relationship building before you can even reach that child, get the child to learn something? Is that
I think I do. And I think I started that when I first started teaching special ed. When I first started teaching special ed, I had the behavior kids. Well, they're going to test you, try you, provoke you, try and flip your switch. And you have to find a way to get them on your side and get them to kind of buy into what you're doing. You know, a little trick that I do is when I have that first week of school, or those first couple of days of school, I'm very observant. I'll just watch and look around. All right, who's my troublemaker and who's my kid that nobody messes with? And this is at the high school setting, or even, even in the junior high, you can kind of see it. Who's the kid, who's the troublemaker, and who's the kid that nobody messes with? I'm getting them on my side. Because if you can get them, you're getting everybody else. So, I like working with those kids. I like working with, the kids that are stubborn, because once you can build a relationship with them, you're going to get what you want out of them or what they want out of themselves. And, is that always easy? No. Is it the most important thing that you do? No, it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight, but you also can't take away from the other kids who are eager and willing and want the knowledge and want to learn. You can't take away from that either. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword where you got to work both sides, and it has to be consistent all the time, where, you're going to lose one or you're going to lose the other. So doing that, I think the relationship is important, and I think it has to instantly start, but it's not going to instantly grow, and you just have to let it grow, and that kid will come along eventually, and they'll blossom and they'll go.
Yeah, that's funny, because it's more sounds like differentiation. Like, no matter what we do, it's differentiation. Right. And when you said that about the reaching that one child, because my motive is different, or I don't know, inspiration, I'm not sure what we call it, but I have students who, like I said, can't read or don't know English, or then I have students who are high level learners. Right. They're working at a higher level, and so then I have to meet everybody's needs. So I have to go around and have groups, and we come around. I'm going to meet with this group, and I'm watching students. There's one particular little girl. She has these big, pretty eyes, and she's just looking at me every time I meet with a group, like she's waiting for her turn. And I feel bad, like if I don't reach every student, because you're not going to reach every student every day. So I try to go around, and so that sounds like what you do, but you do it for a different reason. Like, we're still doing the same thing, and it's just. Everything is differentiation, because you have to meet the students where they are. And this that's what I think, that you said teacher, student, teacher. Teacher, subject, student. Yeah, I think it has to be a mix, no matter what. It
absolutely has to be. Yeah.
A whole, because I want to be just that teacher, subject. I want to be that. I don't want to be that mom in the classroom. I got kids hurting themselves, and then I'm like, and then you like trying to teach. One time, I'm going to let you talk, and then I'm going to tell you real quick. One time I was being observed, and this was the craziest day. I was being observed, and from my observation, we had these big, heavy desks with these big, heavy legs. When I walked in the classroom, before that, I walk in the classroom, they had art before that. The art teacher was leaving, I was going in. And then, okay, I'm teaching my class. Here come my principal, right on time, right for math. And a student had a 9 on their head. He fell on his head. He fell. So I had to write a note to the nurse, right? This is time for math, and I'm supposed to be teaching, ready up there, getting everybody. I had to write a note for math. I get up to the front. My internet was down. So then I had to grab my manual, teacher's manual, and work from that, right? And then, because I'm ready to project stuff on the board and all that, then here come a little student walking up there with the leg to the desk, because the leg fell off the desk. I mean, I'm being observed. And so I don't want to be all that. I just want to teach. I don't want to be all that. I got to be a fixer of the table. I got to be a mechanic. I got to be a nurse writing passes. Then I got to, oh, Lord. So I don't want to do all that. I just want to teach the subject. So, yeah, I being everything I don't want to be. And I do want to be like nurturing, but I don't have time. I don't have time. Yeah.
And it's difficult. It really is to kind of wear all those different hats. And, the one thing I would say, if there are any first year, second year, third year teachers out there, the best advice that I would give you is have a notebook. I go, because you're going to have one heck of a story when you retire. You're going to have a best-selling book, because you will forget things that you need to write down, because when you talk to other people, you talk to other teachers are the only ones, when you tell a story, they really believe it. They're the only ones. If you tell it to somebody outside of education, they're like, that didn't happen. I'm like, no, it really did happen.
That's so funny. Yeah.
Oh, your first, you were talking about your experience. And, my first day teaching special ed, first day, first year, first hour, I have the kids, and, we're going through everything you do on the first day of teaching and what your expectations are and things like that. And I have the special ed kids, and I've got one that's acting up. And, he wanted to push my buttons. I was like, hey, we're just, if you can't follow directions, we're just going to go to the principal's office. I'll go to the principal's office. I'm like, okay, well, let's go. So I take them into the principal's office, and we're waiting in the kind of like a little waiting room that's attached to the principal's office. And this is a bigger kid.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there, and all of a sudden he just looks at me, and I know it's coming. And he just gets up, and he just bull rushes me as I'm in the chair. And I get up and I fall. We go through the drywall, through the next drywall, into the principal's office at 9:20 in the morning. And I pull myself out, and he just reaches through the hole and he goes, can I help you? That was my first day teaching.
Really?
So, it's funny, like some of the stories you get and some of the things you do.
Right. You can't make it up.
No, you can't.
Because if I tried to make this up, write a fiction book, it wouldn't come out the same.
No.
We wouldn't even get a real like, oh, wow. Yeah. But this is amazing. And some of that, do you think that drives you to be, the experiences that you have is what drive you to be that type of teacher at a particular time? Having these experiences?
Yes. I think, each teacher is going to have their experiences of the highs and the lows. When you get into the high school level, you're dealing with a whole different set of circumstances, good and bad. We've lost students from suicide, from gang violence, abuse at home, those type of things. And those are real. And, you realize what kids are going through, and you try to meet them, like you said perfectly, you try to meet them where they're at and bring them to where they need to be. And, I think it does take some nurturing. It does take some, head butting. It does take some stubbornness to get them there and to break them down. But when you're able to do that, and you're able to see that, that to me is what teaching is. Teaching, I really don't think that you find out how much of an impact you had as a teacher until maybe 10 years down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you being in high school, your experience is going to be different, because you rarely hear some of those stories, like you just said, some of those experiences amongst the community about suicide. Now they're getting a little younger, but you really don't hear that often. Especially in my grade, we don't hear it. Our school is K through 3. It used to be K through 5, but K through 3. So maybe you could catch something that in the 5th grade. But I believe that is the driving force, because you don't want to lose a kid. And if you lose them in those ways, in those situations, you're going to think like, I really need to do something to make an impact, to make some change, so some of these things won't happen. So
absolutely,
I can see these experiences drive you to be a particular kind of teacher. Yeah.
And everybody does things everybody does things their own way, but you got into business to make a difference for kids. Yeah. So however you end up doing that is, your path or your way of doing things. It's not right. It's not wrong. It's your way of doing things.
Yeah. You know what? When you said that, that's what I tell people all the time. Be you. And you are what makes the difference always, because every teacher is a teacher. Every teacher has the curriculum. Every teacher has the teacher's manuals for whatever subject. So all that's the same. Right. You are what makes the difference. I like to laugh. I love to laugh. Like if you make something funny, I'm gonna make it funny. I don't care if I fall. It's gonna be funny. We're gonna laugh. Right. Did you see that? Yeah, I'm a trip. Right? That kind of stuff. And so I'm me, and I bring it, and that's what, when you're authentic, I believe that's what reaches the students beyond all of that. Like I said, I'm this teacher subject, but myself comes through it. And so that's where I'm going to reach the students, and yourself is that hugger that you thought you weren't going to be. Yeah. Oh,
there's no doubt about that.
Yeah. I like this topic. I had some questions, but I can't find that stuff right now.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. We can just talk it up and different experiences of teaching. I'm heading towards the end of my teaching career, but it's not 31. So I have two more left, and it's not that I want to leave. It's I'm ready to do something else and impact kids in a different way. And that doesn't mean, everybody is a teacher. Everybody teaches somebody something, good or bad, whether it's in the classroom, out of the classroom, at work, as a boss, as a manager. Everybody's a teacher at some point in time in their life. And, I think it's the impact that you make and how you go about making that impact. Going to be perfect. Every day is not going to be rainbows. Today was one. I've had a student that I've been working with for a little over 2 years, as far as just getting them to just open themselves up and go for their goals, go for what they want. And, filling out financial aid forms and getting to schools and just staying on them, just to, they know somebody's on me to make me do these things. And, they found out today that, they're getting almost their entire school paid for through grants and scholarships. Almost everything's getting paid for. And it was such a relief. And to see the smile on their face was just priceless. And, I think that's why you do it. That's going to carry on for them. Now they're going to go do something. Yeah. And that experience helps them.
Right. And they're going to remember that somebody helped them. And so that's what I was going to say. How does your identity with how you identify as a teacher, how does that impact the effectiveness in the classroom? I could imagine that students going to try their best with you if you're still their teacher. Like they are going to do what they can do to excel because they know you care about them. So do you think that your identity impacts, has an impact on our effectiveness in the classroom? Or is it just, like you're teaching, like you say, you won't know, but sounds like you.
Yeah, I think you do. In the high school, with the class you teach, each class is like a entirely different situation. Like you'll have one class that's very focused, and they all kind of take on a personality. Yeah. You have your one your first period class is that class that comes in, they're ready to go, they're all about it, really no problems. Then you have your third period class that comes in that's still not even they're still half asleep and they're not even really ready to get going yet. You got to flip another switch to get that group going. And then you get your other group that comes in that, all they want to do is talk about the gossip and the drama and who's this, who's that. And, they just want to get a big party time. You got to draw them in. So you wear different hats every day, every period, because you've got a different set of kids with different personalities, different wants, different needs that you have to corral to focus on whatever it is that you're trying to get accomplished. And that's not easy.
No. Yeah. And so, and you're still trying to be effective. You still have to make it work. And so that's when our personality has to kick in. Sometimes it has to kick in overdrive.
Oh, it does. It absolutely does. And they know you as, I'm a pretty laid back guy when it comes to teaching and stuff like that. And I challenge them, but then also I've got that next level where they know if that comes out, it's like, okay, we better scale back and, we better get ourselves together, whether they're loud in class or, whatever it may be. If there's a fight, something like that they know. And, I think that's part of it. Like, I enjoy going to school every day. Do I enjoy every day? No. But do I enjoy going and being there? Yes. But you have your days where you're like, that bell rings, I'm the first one out the door and gone.
Yeah.
Because of the day you've had,
Yeah. So how do you strike a balance of being those three kinds of teachers? Because just say you are counting down for vacation for June, right? You're counting down for that, but you still have to be that academic teacher.
Yeah.
I don't care what you're counting down to, you still got to teach students. So how do you make a balance? Is it a mindset thing? How do you make a balance?
Yeah, it absolutely is a mindset. And I've got a unique situation because I teach phys ed and health. So I'm able to get the kids, 99% of them want to be there, want to be there. So I've got a lot of different incentives and, little carrots I can dangle here or there. A universal one is if we do A, B, and C, and we get that done with maximum effort, here's the basketballs. Boom. You're going to get them doing everything so they can have the basketballs. Yeah. Or, in the weight room. Or sometimes when you just give them that day of, all right, here are the 5 different things you can choose from. Go do one for X amount of time. Go. So now you're giving them the choice instead of having them, being forced to do something. Now, again, that's a unique situation because I'm teaching phys ed.
Yeah.
Same thing with the health. You got to kind of be creative and you have to make it fun. If you make it fun or you make it interesting and challenging, I think you'll get the responses that you want. But, it after spring break, senioritis hits in hard.
Yeah.
These kids, they think they're checked out and they're done. And, from spring break on until you're focusing them, you still have to get your stuff in. You still have to pass this class. You still have to do this. You still have to do that. And, most of the time they don't want to hear any of it. You get that senioritis and you just got to corral them back in. And then you get the other kids like, well, school's over. I'm like, no, school's not over yet. So you got to fight that too. Which is normal. I'm sure it's here. I'm sure it's in your district with the high schools and, it's everywhere.
You said high school, stop playing. That happens right in elementary school. After spring break, you can forget about it. It's starting earlier and earlier.
Yeah. I believe that. Yeah.
Today, because it was warm outside and they went outside to play and they had their coats off and they had on t-shirts. Come back in, we had some testing. I was so frustrated. The testing wasn't going right because things weren't running smoothly because I didn't really understand what I was supposed to do and how to make it progress. The students I'm talking about, I couldn't get them quiet. I'm saying, you're supposed to be quiet right now. We're testing. A little girl is up out of her seat. I'm saying everybody's quiet in their seat waiting for a second. This girl got some tape. She's going to fix somebody's nameplate on their desk way across the classroom. What are we doing here? How is this? This girl's, I hear somebody calling somebody's name. How are we doing this? No, this is just because it was warm outside. So you said senioritis. I remember that, but no, that's second grade itis. This summeritis. So yeah, and you have to be able to say, I understand what they're going through.
Yeah.
You have to be that other, what do you call the teacher student?
Yeah.
So how you do that? Because you said, Jim, I don't think it matters the subject because you still have to be versatile. I don't care. How do you do that when you know the students are checked out?
I mean, I try to just challenge them, whether it's when I was teaching special ed and I was in the classroom and I was either teaching math or science and they're checked out. I would put it back on them. What kind of project do you want to do? What do you want to learn? How do you want to do it? And let them pretty much take over. Why don't you teach the class? And this is, I had middle school, so I would just try to be creative there. If everybody did with the middle school kids, if everybody did their report and they followed every rule that we had in order for you to complete your project, and every person in the class did it, you guys could pie me in the face. Oh, I'll tell you what, for the next 2 weeks, it was nothing but focus for a 30-second pie in the face from every kid. Like, they were working towards that. So you have to have goals, and you have to have incentives, and you have to have whatever it may be. With some of the kids at the high school, it's basketball. They want me to either play, horse, or they want to play 21, or they want to do something, and I'll use it as a carrot. Do this, and we'll do this. If you do this, then we do this. So that tries to work, but they always want to work for the incentives. And I said that the one thing that still works at the high school, and I know it works down at the elementary, is stickers.
That's crazy, because you can miss stickers.
It is absolutely crazy. Stickers and the little wristbands.
Mm-hmm.
They're gold.
Oh yeah, because I have them all on my computer. Like, really, we have them, and because students give me stickers, and I said, okay, put that right there on my computer. But my incentive in my classroom, and I found out, not every teacher does it, but I give brain breaks because they get tired. How are you going to work them for 4 hours? Just say they come in at 9, before 9, they come in at 9, then they don't have a special, a break, a gym or anything until 11:15. That's a lot for a second grader. So I get some brain breaks. And so I did. One day I had a headache. This is a few weeks ago. I had a headache. So I said, you're going to read for 20 minutes. Then we're going to go to the rug and we're going to discuss some things. Then you're going to get a brain break. But then after that, you're going to write. You're going to write, because they had to write some personal narratives. So this is what we're going to do. I had the best morning. By the time it got to their special time, their break time, my headache was gone. I mean, I had a pounding, like someone's knocking, and I had to make it. But they were looking forward to that brain break, and they worked for it. Like, they really did. So incentives work. They really do.
100% they work.
And they make us be a different kind of teacher. You could say, people say what they want, but having your students finding their go-to or their incentive for working, that helps us, because it makes our day smoother once you know.
Absolutely it does. You wear, as a teacher, you wear so many different hats at so many different times, and sometimes you're wearing more than one hat at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And it's difficult, but I always look at it this way. It's your classroom. It's your experience. You can make it whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
Like, you can be miserable going in every day and complaining.
Yeah.
I have to do this. I have to do that. Yeah. There's some things that are, all the testing and things that you do. Now, I don't have to do that as a phys ed teacher. So, but I know what it was like doing that.
Yeah.
And, you can make every day great, even though you're going to have rough times within that day, or you can make every day miserable and just be miserable. I mean, you get to choose how your classroom is run. And that's a great thing about teaching.
Absolutely. That's your personality. You can be who you want to be, especially in a classroom. You know, you could change personalities. Like, you don't have to be who you are outside once you get in that classroom. And that's for real, because if people see you in the classroom that know you outside, they're like, what? You work with kids? I can't see that. Right, what? Right. Yeah. Yep. For real. You could be who you want to be, or you could be your real self. Because outside you got bills and you got all that stuff, and you have to perform, you have to deal with that. But in a classroom, having your personality the way you want it to be is awesome. I love that.
And I really think that kids from kindergarten all the way through they're done with school, whether that's high school or college, you take a little something from each teacher. Like I remember my kindergarten teacher from, way, way back. But I remember some of the things we did then. My first grade, like you take little things from each teacher, good or bad.
Yeah.
That guides you as you get older. And I think as a teacher, that's a huge responsibility. I didn't understand it then. And I didn't really understand it until, maybe midway or a little bit longer through my career that, good or bad, they're taking something away from you.
Yeah.
You get to decide what it's going to be.
It's like DNA, right? Yeah. Really, because we're with them for 10 months. 10 months is a long time. And we could, that's you shouldn't have told me that's a big responsibility.
Oh, and it's, it's one of those things like I absolutely hate math. Mm-hmm. I cannot stand math at all because of my freshman algebra teacher who would make you go up to the board. And if you had it wrong, she would ridicule you and degrade you. And how can you not do that? How can you not understand that X equals this or Y? And I shut down. I'm like, I'm done. And I wanted nothing to do. And to this day, I still don't want to do anything with that. But then when I was in high school, I had an English teacher, a creative writing teacher who I was in their class, and he kept pushing me and pushing me and pushing me and told me that you can write, you can express yourself, just do it. And I started to do it, and that's what I do now. Nice. As far as my writing and my speaking and everything. And it was because of that, which is not something I ever thought I would do, but somebody else made an impact on you on something you didn't think you would do, or they made an impact on you that you absolutely are not ever going to deal with it. And that's the way I am with math. I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, because you do. You take, people always tell you take the good and leave the bad, but then some of the bad drives the good. It drives you in the
absolutely does. Yeah.
Or the good pulls you in. And like I said, the personal narratives, I'm teaching the students how to write and make things interesting, like to describe things, because they were just like, I went to the park. Well, what kind of park? Where was this park at? Who took you? How did you get there? And what did you do? Did you just stand at the park? So this is all you did? And then they go into more detail.
They tell you more, right?
Like they got up. Kids had just a bed and them standing next to the bed in their picture. Like they did like divided the paper into quarters.
Yeah.
And they had a bed and then they had a table. And somebody said, wait, this is all you have in your bedroom? You got to be kidding me. I think you got a little more than that in your bedroom. And so then they start drawing more detail. And then they were happy with their end results. And they were wanting, then I started putting the pictures up, the pictures and the writing up, and then they wanted theirs up. Okay, well, you have to make it nice and neat on this paper after we edit it, because it's just not going up there any kind of way. So it's just exciting that they could learn that from me. Like I helped them with that, with other stories, but it was something that some people can draw so well. And I'm like, you need to continue to draw. So that kind of stuff. Yeah, we make a big impact. I don't even know what kind of question that was.
I mean, you do. It is a great job. Has it changed over the 30 years? Yeah, it's absolutely changed. Has it gotten more chaotic or struggle? Sure. But, kids are kids, and you just got to find a way to reach them however that's going to be.
Yeah. So I don't want, so practical strategies to avoid burnout being each type of teacher. Because if I am waiting for June, I promise you I'm going to be burned out in January, because time is not going fast. It's not. So if I'm worried about the student, trying to nurture them and make sure they're whole in order for me to teach them, I want to burn out pretty fast, because these students have a lot of struggles. And if I'm just that academic and the students are not responding, I'm going to burn out because things are not happening. So I need a practical strategy, some kind of strategy that you can offer us as teachers. I don't care, you're new teacher, old teacher, because every year is new. All students are different. Right. Practical strategy that you can offer to avoid burnout for each type, or say it in all, each type of teacher.
You know, I would say that you can't, as if you, I'll cover all three. Mm-hmm. You know, when you're teacher student, if you're really focusing on those relationships, you know, sometimes those relationships, no matter what you do, are not going to work. It's not in the stars. It's not in the stars for you to be able to mesh with that student in the way that you want to. Doesn't mean that you won't, but you can't let the frustrations or the failures dictate or be more important than the successes that you have. A small success is a huge success in the eyes of that student. And, you know, you're probably going to have more failures than you're going to have successes in the whole realm of things, because kids are going to fight back, you know, not fight back, but, you know, are going to resist, or are going to not want to do it, or not going to buy in. When you think that those failures are because of you, that's where I see a lot of teachers burn out, or they try to do so much or too much. And when this doesn't work, okay, I'm going to try this. Well, this didn't work, I'm going to try this. Instead of muscling through what you in your heart knows what's going to work and trying to do that. And, you know, you as a teacher, you expend so much energy physically and mentally and emotionally into these kids and into your career that you're not going to win every battle. You're not going to win every battle. You're not going to make a difference for every kid, but you're going to make a difference for a kid. And that's what you have to look at. You know, you look at those things and you just do the best that you can, and understand that you're not going to save the world. As much as that's how everybody comes in. I'm going to change every kid. I'm going to change this. I'm going to change that. You're going to change significant parts of it, but you're not going to change it all. And that's not a negative, because if you try to change it all, you're going to burn out faster than you can ever imagine. And I think you have to, you know, switch your hat. You wear different hats. You have to take that. If you had a bad day and it was a loss after a loss after a loss, don't bring it home.
Yeah.
Don't bring it home to family. I try and do this, and I'm getting better. I'm still not the greatest, but I'm getting better at it. That if something happened at school, I pull my car in and I open that door to come in the house, I close it behind me and it's there. I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it come 6:30 tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
But I ain't dealing with it from 3:45 until I go to bed.
Yeah.
Just, you got to turn, and, you know, finding that switch is hard, because now you got to take care of yourself. You can't take care of somebody else. You can't make an impact on kids. You can't make an impact on teaching if you're a hot mess.
Yeah.
So you got to find what works for you and take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Like, take care of you before you can take care of somebody else.
Absolutely. You know what? You said a mouthful, because I don't care who I talk to, what I talk to, they always bring it back to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Everybody. Like, I don't care. We could be talking about curriculum. We could be talking about small groups. We could be talking about teaching ELL students. I don't care. They are like, take care of yourself, because you cannot. People have all different ways of saying it. You can't pour from an empty cup, right? You don't have anything to give if you're empty. All kind of stuff. Like, you take care of yourself. You're stressed out, you're going to bring that to the class. You're going to bring it home. Yeah. One thing I don't do is I don't bring work home, because, well, I live by myself, so that's crazy right there. Right? But at the same time, I don't do it if I have family, because nobody wants to. People don't want to hear teacher stories. I'm just honest. Maybe I don't say it right, but people don't want to hear teacher stories. Like I tell it, if I'm forcing it on the people and they're listening, like, oh yeah, but people don't want to hear teacher stories. And so you just take care of yourself. And so I don't bring it home. Do I take stuff from home to work? Maybe that's the headache part. It's like a
And
lot of
that's, yep.
so maybe, but I never take it into my classroom with my students.
No.
I never. And to be away from teachers, if I'm feeling somebody, I'm not going to eat lunch with people because I got stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll stay in my classroom with it. But that's some good stuff right there.
Well, and the one thing that I've done, and I think every teacher has this in them. I think every teacher tries to do a lot of different things at a lot of different times inside the classroom and outside the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, you get stubborn thinking you can do it all. And that's the way I was. I would try and, coach and go to class and be a dad and still teach and do this and do that and do this. And, sometimes it would run me into the ground and I would still, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And you got to have somebody that you listen to. Like when they tell you, you stop. And that's my wife. If I'm doing too much and I'm going, she'll just give me the look like, slow your roll. And I know that means pull. And I don't argue because I've been sick. I was in the hospital. I don't argue. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. She doesn't have to say that as much anymore, but it's still there. And she's the one person when that's said, the brakes get put on. So you got to find that person because you're always not going to admit it yourself.
Absolutely. That's good. That's good. I hear people saying you need a therapist, you need a mentor, right? You need these people in your lives. Like there's one more, a therapist, a mentor, and something else. I forgot. Maybe I don't have it. That's why I don't know. I have a community of people. Like I have a few communities, and they help and inspire and give you. We have a book read, and in the morning somebody asked a question, and I never thought of this. I never thought of it. I'm not going to say it here because it's teachers and teachers. We have a certain mindset where this is teacher and pension. Like we're not thinking about money outside. Like how do we make, the question was, how do we make a certain amount of money? And I was like, start thinking, I'm talking about the wheel start because of this community that I have outside. Like, oh yeah, I got that. We got that. When we meet in our mastermind group, this is what we're going to talk about. Mm-hmm. How do I do this? So I have that. So that is help. We have therapists in the group, all kind of people in the group that are helping. So you got to have that person that will say, Ronette, John, get yourself together. Take some time. You need to take on all that. So we done talked an hour and you gave us, I never had this. I have many, this is my third year. I have many episodes and we never got into the type of teacher you are, like what is driving you. And we talked about what can burn you out and things like that. But this is something, this is a start of something. Like for real. I love this.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I try to give you ELL, right? Like we're gonna talk about some ELL. No, I love this conversation. And I'm gonna meet some people live after. Hopefully somebody wants to come and talk live.
Okay.
People. So after we hang up, I'm going to go live. I think it's on Facebook. I don't know.
Okay.
Link. I don't know how it's going to be because I posted it. If somebody comes and we're there, I don't know how it's going to work because I never did it before. But I'm hoping somebody meets me there because this is a conversation starter. It's not even a full, this can go on, talking what kind of teacher you are. How do we balance it? How do you strike a balance? All that, and then keep on living and making an effective impact. And we are God sent. Nobody could tell me anything else because everything I did led to this. Everything I tried outside, I still came back to this. Yep. So this is what we are. This is our purpose, and we gotta make this work. I appreciate you. I mean, I really do. I really appreciate this. Thank you, Zanaya.
You're very welcome.
Comments. I mean, thank you. What did I say? Salmon Shop. Thank you. I appreciate this too. I love this. This is like one of my favorite right here because it brought stuff out of me that I wasn't thinking about. What is driving me? What kind of teacher am I? I think I'm just academic, but I am actually making relationships. Like
Yes, you are.
Yeah, because I see how the kids look at me, but I don't want to be a friend. I don't want to be a friend. I want to teach you something. That's it. But they want to come at lunchtime to my classroom. Yeah, and
That's
this
a
is
sign of a
really,
great teacher right there.
they come
That
looking
really
for
is.
me. No, they come looking for me at lunchtime. I'm down the hallway. How did you know I was down here? Like, how did you know I was down here? I'm on the other end of the hallway. How did you know? They're like, Miss Brand. Okay, all right. Here I come. So, yeah, and I just want to teach them. I don't want to play. But yeah, that's just cool. And I thank you for this. Again, thank you. Tuning in to Educators with Oil podcast. This is Ronette Branham. I said it. I'm all messed up. And our special guest, John Taylor. Look for John Taylor at John Taylor Speaks. I appreciate this. And have a blessed rest of your day, everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You too. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Subscribe to Educators with Oil podcast on your preferred platform and join Ronette on this mission to empower teachers through the wisdom of the Bible. Because when biblical strategies meet the classroom, extraordinary teaching happens.
Educators, let's shine a light on our classrooms. See you on Educators with Oil podcast, where teaching and faith unite.